I don't even think I got the microphone working yet. 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't even think I got the microphone working yet. 1. Oh, cool. There's an echo. All right. There's no schedule here. There's nothing exciting going on. I think for those of you who do a lot of electronics repair for a living, you know exactly what this is. You take one capacitor and replace it for another. So a little project that I picked up back in September was a 4-phase systems IV70 computer that was converted to an IV90. That is a name you probably have never heard of. And that is quite simply because 4-phase kind of kept to themselves. Maybe I'll make a video of this in the future. But the idea here is that we take the Intel 4004 to be the first commercially available microprocessor on one chip. And arguably through a lawsuit that happened with Intel versus Texas Instruments back in the 90s, I believe, the reality is, even though it's a bit slice processor, the 4-phase systems AL1 is before the 4001, or the 4004, sorry. And the only reason that it's not in the history books is that 4th Phase made that system for themselves, for their computers, and they never sold it to anyone else. They only put it into their computers. So that's unfortunate. But I have a machine. It wasn't necessarily, however, in the greatest condition. And so here I am now having to deal with the problem. It was cleaned. I went through the power supplies, and sure, it has the usual capacitors to make, do, and mend with, and other ones that you just have to test with. I found that most of them were fine, except for one very common value I found scattered everywhere. This is 50 microfarads, 50 volts. And for the most part, I was finding... Where did I put that tester? There it is. For the most part, I was finding they looked like this. And what was happening was, sure, there was a bit of corrosion there, and I would clip onto them. And this one here reads 56 microfarads. Sure. But this is only one. There's a lot of these. So here's another example of one I know is bad. Look how horribly corroded this cap is. And there's still the laminate there, so it's corroding from the inside out. It also comes to show where it was stored. So we'll take this cap. And this is a very good representation of every other cap in the system. And this one comes out to 2,400 picofarads, so it's not a capacitor anymore. So some of them were still caps, most of them were not. And even though I had done smoke tests on the power supply before, and I knew there was nothing necessarily wrong with most of the boards in the machine, I tested it anyways. It lasted maybe about 15 to 20 seconds, and then I had one of these caps internally short and explode. Even though I'd seen no shorts before in this here, or leakage, or any resistance issues. So that was my determination there. Okay, we're going to have to change all of these. And this is the only cap value in the machine that's giving me grief. Alright, fine. So what do you replace them with? You can go with 50 volts, 50 microfarads. And you will probably find that is a very expensive cap. To get exactly the same like this in axial, you're looking at $8 a cap. Or we can substitute with 47 microfarads, 63 volts in axial, and I think this came down to the $1.15 per capacitor. Still expensive, but I could get them in quantity now. So I have already gone over the memory boards in this machine. And I've already pulled those caps out, and that's why I have so many of these scattered around. But I do have other boards in the system which have these. In total, I had to order 50 capacitors. I think it's 47 or 48 total, plus some spares now. So for the remainder of this video here, I'm not going to be too descriptive. I can't even play music because YouTube freaks out about it. This is a chore that I have to do on my Saturday afternoon. We are just going to change every single cap out. This is like watching paint dry. So I will start with my memory boards. We'll get to this board here later. The memory boards have actually already gone and done cleaning, cap work to them or something like that. These are the memory boards. There's 8 of these boards in the machine. They have resistor jumpers right here, but the caps were living right down here. So I'm going to turn on my iron. I have 8 of these boards. I think another half dozen boards of just CPU and logic and expansion to the IV90. This does not have an AL1 in it anymore, unfortunately. It's been upgraded to a newer bit slice CPU, which emulates the AL1 and is faster. The other thing I have to do for every single cap here is I have to bend them into shape, which means consistency. That's not going to be a thing. And before people go screaming, why didn't you put the original ones in? Even though this is, get this, one of 7 machines known to still exist. One, I don't have the money for that, and 2, this isn't an Apple One. And even the Apple One people are a little nutty for wanting actually date-matched hardware visually looking the same. This is pretty darn similar. You put this cap onto this board, does it look like something that wasn't from the middle of the 1970s? Anyways. So, I really should be measuring. I have no scale or grading or anything. I don't have any tools or anything to let me know what each cap should be sized to. So I'm going to get one cap here. And once I know exactly what the size should be, we can just start fitting caps to that size. Oh, that's a bit too... Get out of here. And for those of you who are watching, if I'm not responding to the chat, that's just simply because the chat is behind me. I can't see it. Alright, yep, that'll work. Okay, so I'll need 3 for here. Ow. Ow. Maybe I should just bend all of these caps to length before we even start here. You know what this is called? This is called planning before you do your video streams. But what if you don't intend to make this a video stream and you just decide, you know what? It's been months since you've done anything on YouTube. Why not make a video stream of this? This is what happens. I've made a mistake here. I really should have made a jig. That'll do. For the first board here. What's nice about these 4-phase boards is they actually note the polarity for the caps. So I was able to strip all the caps out, and I know exactly where each one goes. one thing I noticed when I was doing this was... Oh, yeah. Great. Yeah, so the board's so big, or the traces are so big, that when I apply solder to one side, the heat is not transferring to the other side. There we go. And you can't even see this, can you? No. This video stream of my desk, by the way, is brought to you by the cheapest Microsoft webcam I could get that actually didn't suck. Alright, one down, many to go. Hello, Dexter64. Pardon me, I can't actually see the chat because it's behind me right now. Hello, Grindhog. There's nothing wrong with Laserdisc. I can't say too much for Betamax myself because my SL2700's been broken for 15 years. There's a loading gear on it that it's made of plastic. There was a revision Sony made of a metal gear that fixes it constantly breaking. And I've just not been able to find it. And every other Betamax player I've had has just been kind of a case of, well, you can get it for cheap and it doesn't work, or you can get it for a lot of money, but it also, you know, works. Even with a higher heat, how's that doing? Better. Okay, we'll increase that more. For this here, we'll be using leaded solder. I would rather not be using lead-free on this, because it's going to cause me all sorts of issues. But usually I also say I don't need to use flux. This is probably one of those few instances where, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I really should be using flux. Okay, those are good. Try and pick up all your cap leads with one hand. Would it be at all surprising if I said that even though I have a lot of Laserdisc movies, I'm still very, very far behind on popular culture when it comes to most 80s and 70s movies? Even 90s movies and modern movies. I don't watch a whole heck of a lot. It might partly be because I spend so much time working on stuff like this. Okay, there we go. What happens if I increase? I'm going to bring my iron up to 700 degrees. Usually it gets away at 650, but this is causing me a bunch of grief. No, still doesn't want to connect to the other side. When did they stop releasing movies on VHS? Was it like 2008 or 2009 where Disney Home Video stopped doing it direct to tape? Okay, that looks good. Last movie on VHS. What year was that? I'd stop and check it right now, but I don't want to derail the progress of my work here. It's like, was that 2000? No. That was like 2000. I forget. Oh yeah, you're gonna play that game on me, are you? I keep working towards the edge of the desk here. Can I make that a bit better without completely blowing out the picture? Not really. No, I had to turn the camera's auto gain off in order to do this. So, as you can see, the white ceramic of the chips is kind of blowing out. Alright. Cars came out in 2006. Now I feel old. Nope, made that one too big. Oh, this is the most problematic of the boards I have. As you may notice here, I'm missing 2 RAM chips. So technically, this board here is probably the least useful for me. It may end up being repurposed either as a a salvage board for everything else, including those caps, or just to steal RAM chips off for many of these other boards, and just in case I have any other bad RAM. Because if, well, you're not at all surprised, this RAM is not standard pinout with anything. Anything. This is 1971 for you. Why did I flip that over? Moo? Yes, 1971. Four-phase systems was even older than I thought. They looked like a very 80s company, but this is like 1971, They started the design of the AL1 CPU back in the 60s. So by the time we were on the moon, this CPU was just being finalized for prototyping and testing. As for what exactly happened to four-phase systems, they were bought, or they sold themselves to Motorola in the beginning of the 80s. And they closed their offices. Well, where was four-phase systems? This is the thing that kind of amused me, because I didn't think about this at all. They were a Cupertino company. But their offices, after they left, there's not a lot of things in Cupertino, but in the 1980s, expansion was rapid, and space was becoming limited. So this company by the name of Apple Computers bought the land and redeveloped four-phase systems and built this, they basically built their own little street called Infinite Loop. And, so if you ever go to one Infinite Loop, you're actually on the property where four-phase systems used to be in the 1970s. Did I really mess up that one? I did. Moo. There's a lot of moo. And then along comes Starlight, where it's no longer moo, moo, it's just meow. Since we got a few more people in here right now, and I'm sure everyone's currently trying to figure out what exactly I'm doing, I acquired back in September a 4-phase systems computer. It's not like an IBM. It's not like a PDP. It's not like a Data General. Really, it's not like any computer you can think of, but maybe it shares some similarities with IBM, even though it's not code compatible with IBM. This machine has a giant mountain of these 50 microfarad, 50 volt lytic capacitors, which have all either read poor or they're pretty much just open. So we have to change them all out. So this video here is going to be consisting of just me sitting here. Initially, we're just going to be dropping the caps in because all my memory boards I'd already decapped for testing. But now that I know that they've all caused me problems, I just bought a whole bag of caps. We're going to do them all. There's 50, or there were 50 in here. So this will do all the memory, it'll do all the logic in the IV70 chassis, and it'll do some of the extra boards on the back plane for consoles and console control. But those still have their caps on them. How long will this video go for? I have no idea. I kind of set aside the entirety of my afternoon to deal with this because it's one of those things. For those of you who saw my Twitter post a couple weeks back, it might even be a month ago back, when I was doing testing on this, sure, the power supply was fine. I found no shorts. I found no issues. But within like 15 or 20 seconds of powering the machine up, one of these caps exploded. So we're going to have to do them because even if like these damn things are reading open, the fact it just kind of spontaneously shorted, that's going to be nothing but grief. They will not be reliable. Originally, they were made by Sprague. The new ones here I'm putting in are from Illinois Capacitor. It is indeed the database access system of the 1970s. It's interesting, when I was looking through what little documentation exists, sure, it does ASCII, but it also seems to do a lot of, it can operate kind of as a remote terminal establishment controller that's also smart in that there's like word processing and a few other things like databases to which can be handled by the 4-phase exclusively. And so it does have a level of support for EBCDIC. There's other weird stuff here too. So it supports punch card. So that 029 key punch that I've been working on over the last, almost 2 years now. Yeah, that's compatible with this as well. Or my documentation punch card reader. That thing, which I got almost 10 years ago. Yeah, that works with this too. So it's not necessarily everything on it is off the shelf, but so far it's kind of conforming to both electrical and interface standards that I wasn't really expecting people to do. Remember, this was still back in the time when most companies knew that if you didn't adapt to what was a given standard at the time, chances are, unless you had a very good product, you were going to die. The 029, so this year was kind of a write-off for everything because I had to make a bunch of money to pay a bill. So the 029 is actually currently sitting outside, but before I wrapped it up, I had gone through and I'd been oiling stuff like the punch hammers and a few other parts of the linkages, which I hadn't been able to get into before because they were stiff. And the last thing I want to be doing is digging into it more than I have to, because cleaning contacts suck. But once you have to start like knocking punch hammers out because they're seized in, then things get difficult. And as long as I flood it with oil, maybe they'll free up. Maybe next year. I really want to get that working. I was talking to Curious Mark a while ago, and he helped me with figuring out what exactly I need to do to make a desk for it. Because I do have the keyboard. His latest video actually was really handy. Because it told me that there was a set of lower contacts that aren't supposed to be stuck shut. And mine were all stuck shut. So now I know why when I was testing it, it was like, why are all of these reading continuity constantly? So the keyboard at this point here is ready to go. Mechanically, the punch now will feed a card through. The power supply and the wiring in the cabinet is now good. Now it's just a case of making sure the contacts are clean, putting it all together, and hoping everything works. Yeah, the polishing went great. Why did I solder that from the top side first? No, the polishing went fantastic. That cleaned up really well. Everything looks good. Even today, like, I can go outside. It's cold as heck, but the polishing looks good. It's cleaned up. Obviously, that was just more like grit and dirt from where it was stored in Houston. But that all looks great now. And I got a carton of cards, so now I have a lifetime supply of punch cards for it, too. That was $80. Most of that was shipping. I don't mind paying that kind of money for cardstock, because even the Computer History Museum, they have to buy new old stock. There aren't manufacturers still hanging around that design cardstock to IBM specification anymore. So both the Living Computer Museum and the Computer History Museum have in the past purchased new custom-made cardstock, and the paperweight and the thickness just isn't right, and it keeps jamming the machines. So new old stock is the way to go. Just not buying them by like 10 cards at a time on eBay for $30. Thank you. That one's too short. There we go. Sorry, Moo, I missed your message there. Yeah, I try not to think too much about all the things I have to recap as well. Entropy is annoying, and eventually you begin to realize, oh my god, everything in this room needs to be recapped. Or you've not used it in 3 years, and you come back, and there legitimately is a cap issue. The Laserdisc player I used normally in the other room is actually now out of commission entirely. One, it was a belt issue, because apparently the belt I changed 10 years ago had already failed. But also, now it's having power supply issues, which is weird because I swear I've gone over that power supply before. Just try it without the pliers this time around. I do not have... Oh, what's this? Al's a great guy. I have to apologize for him the next time I get a chance to go down to Mountain View. But even back in 2013, like, he invited me to, like, take a look around and have him give me a private tour, and I completely forgot to do that. But I've known Al now on and off the VC Fed forums for many years, and he is a great person, and that does sound like something he would say. And it is something to be proud of as well. Oh wait, I already did that. Look at me getting all distracted from listening to people talking. Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. I also have to every so often glance over to make sure the stream's not done something horrific like crashed. I'm not in the Classic Comp Discord server. I'm barely even in the Retro Computer Discord server myself. I'm barely on Discord at all now that I think about it. I spend more time in IRC. Maybe that just makes me old-fashioned. I have been invited to the Classic Comp Discord server, so I do have an invitation. I just keep on forgetting to get to it. Alright, the last of the memory boards. Excuse me. So, one of the fun things about the four-phase system is that normally when you think of a computer that has a text-based console, you expect that, sure, the output of the computer is going to be something like 20 milliamp current loop or RS-232 serial. Maybe it'll be something like IBM where you had the 5250 standard or the 3270 terminal standard. Something dumb like that. But the point is that the data interface is kind of understandable. Four-phase was a little insane. The memory that you're seeing here is not only the system memory, it's also video memory. Oh, so this machine has a video display on it. Kind of. So the cabling that goes out to the terminal is actually the frame buffer for each terminal is in the computer itself. The data that's going out to the terminal is mainly for supporting of I/O peripherals like a printer and the keyboard, and that's about it. The actual, like, all the smarts of the terminal are in the computer, and that means that this memory here is sharing everything. It's a really weird, I can't put my mind around it. It's like, I don't know why you would do it this way. Oh, I'm still on the VC Fed forums a lot. I've been on there since, what, 2009 or 2006? I've seen it change hands a couple of times. The latest revision, I'm sure there's people there who can agree, I was kind of irritating in terms of some bugs and some issues. Like, they did a transition last year around Christmas or New Year's, and that was a disaster because PMs broke and a bunch of other things broke as well. And then, like, I just wouldn't shut up about that. I will admit, I wouldn't shut up. But the last thing I like to see is a good forum that blows apart because of terrible decision makings on the forum upgrade. So we went from vBulletin to that to I think we're on Zenfoil right now. And you know what? Fine. That's fine. I will say the forum has gotten a bit more lively in the last year, which is nice. It was beginning to die down a bit. Part of that might have been that people just didn't want to use such an ancient version of vBulletin. But I do miss the blog section. We do kind of have a pseudo blog section in there now, which is basically just a subforum. But yeah, you keep an eye on it. I still post blog entries in there from time to time. They don't feel like me sitting at a coffee shop kind of blogs. They're usually just technical entries, like Ken Schrift's blog. Stuff like that. Yeah, I know a couple of forums that blew off and their replacements weren't all that great. Okay, I think I have all the memory boards. I'm just going to now make sure I got the polarity of every cap correct. Who here saw my SE30 video where I put all my tantalums in backwards? Yeah, let's not do a repeat of that. And if you're hearing all these creaking noises, that's just the chair I'm sitting in. No gamer chair here. All right, memory boards are done. The easy work is done. So now I have to go, pardon me, I'm just going to go switch this out for the other boards that we have to do, which we're going to have to pull caps off of. That was just RAM. That's not even the rest of the system, Carl. All right. Next board that we have to work on. So this one here just goes by 8437 control. So this is part of the disk interface. There was two different systems that were available that I'm aware of. You could use the Diablo Moto 30 pack loading drives. Like, those are the kind of things that you saw on the Xerox Alto, and DEC used them. They're fine. I don't have one of those drives. The controller, though, still, that's handy. We have one cap to change on this board here. And unfortunately, I forgot at my DigiKey order, I have an LM319N I have to change because that's been cracked and broken. So when I do my testing, I actually keep this board out. Otherwise, that's going to smoke. The other thing I have to deal with here is that all of these boards are kind of corrosioned just from where they were exposed to, sea air and the likes. So I do have, getting these caps out sucks. They're so crusty. But thankfully, this is all 2-layer through-hole stuff. So even if I damage it a little bit, that's fine. Oh, hey, and it's still polarity marked. There. Oh, no. You know, I haven't actually tested to see if these caps here are worth or are just as junk as the others. I just kind of assumed, since all those other boards were no good, that they weren't either. Here, let me just quickly drop a cap in so I don't forget polarity. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there. Here at CellGen Studios, we take every extra precaution necessary to ensure no ESD damage to our components. Okay, so this one here reads... This one reads 52 microfarads, so technically it's good. We're still going to change it. I think it also varies on the manufacturer of the boards. I do know some systems where the traces will lift off. Like, they're fine when they're wave soldered, but the actual plating is super, super thin, and it delaminates super, super easy, and it's just a nightmare to deal with. Single layer stuff, well, I guess in that situation there, it's not a case of if you lift a pad, you don't know where it goes because there's nothing on the other side. But, yeah. What was on here again? SY6512A. And then you got some memory right here. So this is basically its own little microcontroller board. Okay, next board is this one right here, which is the line printer. I am going to point this out to you now because I'm sure someone's looking at this and noticing it through the weird color correction of my camera. You notice how it's like green over here, and over here it's brown? And this side here is the exact same way. No, that is exactly the board there. That's not some weird aging related thing that has occurred. This was stored outside. And when it was stored outside, it got baked by the sun. So you can see where it's UV damaged. Thankfully, it hasn't actually damaged the masking, so we're still good there. Surprisingly, I don't see a lot of components that got rusty legs. I mean, there's a couple here, but I've only had to do one repair so far, and that was with a 4-phase keyboard that didn't come from this pickup. It came from a completely different place. Where can I think this one's clean enough I can desolder it from here. So what I'm doing here, I use flux core solder as well, by the way, is that when I run into solder like this, I'll flood fresh solder into there. One, because it'll also flood flux into there for deoxidizing, but it also just helps because I'm going to desolder this anyways. I might as well like make it easier for me to desolder. Oh yeah, you're going to have to be heated from the other side. Yeah. Yeah, and this side just wants to put up a fight. One. Oh, good, and the other side just fell out. You know what's interesting? You see these white flaps that are everywhere here? These are actually bus bars. So these are all in groups of 2. So one side of this is probably plus 5 volts and the other side is your common ground. So it's not just little isolators between. That's how they're actually getting voltage through. And you'll notice for stuff like the cap here, where it goes into one of these bus bars and then into another bus bar. And that's all what these 50/50s are doing, is I've lost my train of thought here. They're just filtering. Making sure, is that hole clear? That hole is not clear. Two-layer boards, I strongly recommend people start with first, because if you start with multi-layer boards, I'm speaking from experience here. I've been doing this for 20 years. Even when I first started doing multi-layer boards, you will fail. You will have all sorts of messes. I missed my first P4 board when I recapped it because I didn't yet realize how foil-lined vias worked. And yeah, that system never worked again. But this is nice. We should do a cap check on this one too. Yep, okay, I cleared that. Yeah. This is 700 degrees on the iron, and I'm still having thermal transfer issues. There. That's gonna be fine. That'll be fine. I'm waiting to come across another one of these caps where it's actually visually just junk because it's corroding from the inside out. And this one reads 54 again as well. Maybe it was just the memory boards that were junk. Okay, what were you? 1600 PE Mag 2. Right, so this machine came with a Wanko tape formatter. This is part of the 9-track tape interface. This cap's beginning to look a little bit crusty, so maybe this one will come out. We'll do it. Get the blowtorch out. You know, I never actually owned one of those stereotypical kerosene blowtorches until April of this year, where I was helping a friend move an 1144, and he had this in a pile of scrap metal he was sending off, and he was like, it was my grandfather's. Like, it's like it's got more in it with brass, and it was like, how much do you want for the brass? And so I just bought it for that, and they're terrifying, but at the same time, it's also, I get the joke there about getting the blowtorch out, because there have been the odd times where it's like, man, I wish I had like a 1,000,000-watt iron to get some of this stuff out. When I was doing my Westinghouse TV, that was another one of those cases where I had to use Mr. Carlson's solution of just using a piece of wire and a giant 150-watt Weller gun before I could actually do anything with these contact points that were basically just soldered to the copper frame of the TV. And crusty. It was partly. This was sitting outside. I don't have the ability to... I don't think I have the ability to bring up the photo right now. Actually, I do. Okay, can everyone hold on for a second as I get distracted here? Hold on. Okay, oh, is it the wrong... Okay, I think I kind of have audio here. Like, you see that brown box that's just kind of living, like, right in the middle of this picture here? This is where the machine was found. This is the storage condition it was in. There's the computer's on the bottom. The expansion cabinets are on the top. This is... Oh, no. Okay, I am not at all set up for this. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm not at all set up for this here. You saw the photograph. The machine was not in what we would call a well-stored location. I think this is the equivalent of... I'd have to find it again. I'm not doing it right now. It was a bunch of PDP-11 racks that were stored outside, open quotes on that one there. And when they went to go pick them up, they had been outside for so long that they had been buried in vines. Like, just racks. Okay, where was I? Right, I was on this. So this is the other mag tape board. This one here has no cap on it, so that one's good. Now I'm double checking. It was on here. I took it off. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, sorry. I'm like trying to run too many things at once here. I am not a symmetrical multi-processing man. This is a preemptive micromanaging operating system. I think one of the cool things is also I had heard of four-phase systems quite a few years ago. I know a man, he lives in the Vancouver area. He worked for four-phase systems back in the 1970s, and he said that, and this was part of more, I think we were talking about an alpha microsystem at the time, and he said, like, if you ever find a computer that's made by four-phase systems, that's my work right there. And I mean, I always kept it in mind. So when this machine came up available, it was a situation of it's going to be rough, but at the same time, this guy is going to have a complete field day to see one of his machines, even if it doesn't get running again, to see one of his machines again, because that's his baby. He's excited. We do talk regularly through email, because even though he's getting into his older years, he still remembers a lot of stuff. So he's been able to help me with a couple of weird quirks that I've run into with this machine. Not limited to bus bars having wires for the power supply soldered to them directly. Okay, now I'm done with this board. I do hope you enjoy recapping. I do apologize if it becomes very boring beyond that. But this is just something I gotta do. What board was this? This is the other one for the mag tape. Right. The tape drive was the only thing I was not able to get with this machine. From what I was told... well, we've already seen the condition of some of these caps and how this was stored. And when you deal with polished aluminum heads close to the ocean, the drive was a write-off. There was nothing we could do about that. The tape formatter is nice. Unfortunately, all I have are Kennedy tape drives that would use a formatter, and the Kennedy formatters aren't the exact same. So I don't have a way right now to attach a 9-track drive to this thing. Which sucks, because I have found some software for the IV70 and the IV90, but it's all on 9-track tape. Which is funny, because also I found some punch card software for the IV90, but then I have to figure out exactly how to get the card punch working without a controller I don't have. Okay, you're just going to cause me problems, aren't you? Yeah, this one just kind of terminates, I think, into a giant pad, so it's actually just trying to wick all the heat away into this giant area. There we go. I think we're about halfway through the bag now. If anybody is asking, for whatever reason, for better photographs or images or information on all of these boards, I have photographed every board in this machine, both sides. They have been cataloged. All of this information has been sent off to bit savers, so it is currently in the queue to be processed and put up in the bit section or the pictures section at some point. When exactly, I do not know, so I do apologize if you're looking at this and you're like, well, I wish I could get better details on what that is. Okay. Next board. So this is one of the boards that goes to the IV70 expansion. When you upgraded or IV90 expansion, when you upgraded, this one's been recapped once already. Huh. If you, when you go from the IV7 to the IV90, like you change out the AL1 board, you change out, I think, a few other boards, and you get this extender, which gives you 2 ribbon cables that goes to the expansion cabinet. And I believe this is one of those one of the boards that uses one of the 2 cables. So this has been recapped or been redone once before. I'm pretty sure this cap is fine. I'm just doing this for the hell of it. Is it still considered relevant to say 410 lulls? Or is that a very dated statement to say? 149.4 microfarads. Now that's very likely looking at the rest of the circuit here. But let's say for consistency, we'll change that cap anyways because I bought extras. Okay, so that read 149 in circuit. Out of circuit, what does that read now? $57. So yeah, it's fine. Whatever. This is one of the reasons these testers here, you have to take capacitors, for example, out of circuit to test them. Because everything else in the circuit can and will throw your tester off. It's kind of like how I can't fully trust these for identifying components because there's so many different ICs. There's a variety of different styles, designs, and then you have the OEM custom stuff. Those may not identify everything. Data books. Data books are usually your friend. It's interesting. So I pulled that cap out, and yet you can still see the stud right there, or the stump where the cap leg used to be sticking through. I have this weird feeling these vias are not plated, which is weird. Yes. I am saving these cap leads, by the way. I have another 2 projects that have come up. One of which is a Webster wire recorder, and the other one is a Grundig multi-band radio. And of course, they have to be completely recapped. And some of the caps that I have to change in are metal film, and their legs are super small. I probably won't do streams or any videos for those. We'll see. I just kind of want to get those over with. Oh, yes, this board. Yeah, I don't know either. So this board is interesting. This is one of the other extender boards for the IV90. This is one of the rougher boards as well. First off, notice just how, look at all the LEDs on here. These are very, very early LEDs. Very early style. Like a lot of the components on here, the date codes, like this is 1980. This is really nice. So I have these 2 caps I have to change here. So the fun one is they look like transistors. When I actually test them with this, they say they're JFETs, and I'm missing one. And sure, like I can read every single one of these because they're all basically the same, but they have a custom part number. I don't exactly know. Actually, that one there, I can see that. Oh, God. What was that? That one's not even soldered in. Some of these have broken legs. This got crushed when it was pulled out. Some of these boards were found outside of the machine. Okay. I'll deal with that later. We'll deal with these now. There we are. Nope, still wants to play hardball. Lift a leg for me. There we go. How many cards are there? 8, 16. There's about 20 boards in this machine, and even then, the whole card cage isn't filled. I think the card cage fits like 25 boards. It's not even like it's an S100 machine. It's something totally different. So... if you go over to BitSavers, look in bits, and you look in 4-phase, there are some schematics available for this system. Not all of them, though, which is a little annoying. The other thing is, thankfully, if in one of these cases here I get a little bit too ahead of myself and I pull a cap out and there's no polarity, I do have photographs of all of these boards. So I can see exactly which way the cap used to be installed. Oh, that's too much. That's too much, too. Yeah, that's fine. That looks good. Works for me. Okay, next board is IV70 driver receiver. This is the most simplest board on this entire system. Like, there is so much empty real estate on this board. There's one. There's two. I'm kind of hoping I can find another couple of these crunchy caps. Where are they? Yeah. I did it! Remember how I just said I have photographs to remember which way the polarity was? I took that cap off and I don't know the polarity. Do I trust the plus right there? No. Give me a moment. Yes, there's a couple on there. Something's happened horribly to the schematics where they've gotten cropped or they're actually corrupt. One of them's just a thin white line. And it's like, oh, well, this is no good. Al is aware of it. He's looking into seeing if he has a backup of it. It could be a case of the actual copy of it is bad too. Here we go. Photos. What was this? This was 1103291E, which was 1103291E. There it is. Okay, yes. I wonder if I can do this. Hold on a minute. Okay, yeah. All right, yeah. So positive was definitely positive here. Yeah, when I was researching this machine, I found out there's a Facebook group for four-phase systems. I think it's just more of an alumni kind of thing. I don't actually use Facebook myself, so I couldn't actually view too much into it because it wants me to sign up. Okay, well that one's simple enough. All right, and then we get into this. So this is one of the character generator boards for the terminals. Again, this all happens in the computer, not in the terminal or in some sort of terminal controller. I guess it's kind of the terminal controller, but anyways, it's sharing everything on the main system bus. So, again, more of 4 phases, very early white ceramic chips. 4 phases, great logoing. At least their numbering is consistent for all of this stuff. But this all indicates that it's just ROM. So I have 4 caps on this one to change. Are these... Ooh, that one's going to throw me. So, positive, 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 positive. I'm going to do something here before that catches me off guard. Or I'm going to drop the pen. There we go. So the reason that we're also seeing that one of those capacitors are backwards, you'll notice here, assuming that's a ground, or that's just a positive, one of these is going to be a negative voltage rail. So the cap is actually installed backwards. Unlike S100, this one here doesn't just have one common voltage that's regulated on every board. Multiple voltages are available on the backplane for whatever boards you install. So positive voltages, negative voltages, and of course a common ground. And that one's not going to come out for me. Yay. This is especially crusty. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2. Take those over there. Oh, good. The positives are actually noted on the board again. Okay, so we'll just do them all. Come on. There. Oh, that was plugged. My desoldering tool is plugged up. One moment. And now you just take your soldering tool and just beat the bedazes out of it. Or something like that. There you go. The worst pulls to desolder are the ones where you get the solder that's stuck halfway between either side. So you have no choice but to re-tin it again. There. I'm amazed just how much dirt is on these. I went over all of these boards and I washed them and brushed them, and there's still dirt on these things. If any of these go bad, it's game over. There's nothing I can do. This desk is slowly getting taken over by these junk sprags. If you ever want to remember exactly how you pronounce sprague, think of radio electronics. They had an ad back in the 50s where the slogan was, "Don't be vague, use Sprague." Interesting. Why has that one lost its plating? Before I forget it, let me just quickly burnish that one. That's interesting. So this one here lost its gold plating for some reason. I'll burnish it and clean it up, but there we go. So that one's done. Okay, yeah, next board. This is another one of the same boards. First thing to note, we're missing one of our resistor packs, and the whole socket is missing. So let's take a break here for a moment. Before I throw these caps away that are all starting to take over my desk, let's just quickly put them onto the tester and see what happens. I mean, they're either going to test good or they're going to test like junk. So I'm just going to see a couple of these where I can see corrosion coming through. This is 996 nanofarads, so this is a bad one. That's actually one of... Nope, actually picofarads was the worst. Let's try this one. It's interesting. All of them I've come across so far have a red cap on them. This one has a black cap. 2,536 picofarads. So this is what I was running into a lot of, are these caps here where they're not caps anymore. Okay, that's enough of that. So we know that we still have junk ones that were hanging around. This had to get done. You don't want to heat up. Oh, there you go. Okay. These ones look like they've been getting hot, or they're just sun damaged. Come on. There. This needs to be cleaned again. This makes a very peculiar thud noise when it jams. Well, the good news is we're almost done with all these caps, which means we're near the end. The bad news is that once I run out of the boards here, and there's only this one and one more left, now it comes the more annoying stuff. And we know those are junk. Can feel that my snips are starting to wear out in the one spot I most commonly cut leads with. That sucks. I've had these things now for almost 15 years now. Wow, this is back from the days when Radio Shack Canada was still around. Okay, that's another board. So that there was all control boards and ROM, maybe even character ROMs for the terminals. And I believe this is the terminal control board, like this is the main controller for it. This mass right here. Like, oh, this is really, really old silicon. Yeah, here we go. Because now we're starting to notice, like, the date codes on this here. 7945, 7821. This is one of the original boards from when this was an IV70. So this is late 1970 stuff here. Wait, what am I saying? No. Anyways. 78. Where the heck was it? I was seeing stuff on here that was like 73 or 74. Maybe I'm getting all confused and like this particular IV70 was built later. Maybe this leaded solder smell or fumes are getting to me. I don't know. One of the bunch. How am I going to start with you? Okay, we'll take care of these two junky ones at the bottom. Oh, these are all going to give me grief. Oh no, and my sponge is beginning to fall apart. Great. Where did I put that? Trying to get through the crusty solder just so you can melt the solder underneath and lift up the legs. Because once you get the new solder established, you can just clear all the other stuff out by floating the slag off. Can you see what I'm doing here? Just barely. There. Are these actually clear now? Almost all clear. Oh, and of course you walked out. Get out of there. This enormous plane right here is being really annoying. There. And what was the other positive over there? Okay, now that one. They're all kind of crusty from the top side, so I'm just going to heat them and remove them from the bottom. Did I do it again? Hold on. No, I did not. Okay, good. Good. All right, so now let me just double check to make sure nothing has been put in backwards. Oh yeah, here's a fun one. Forgot about this. So among the other damaged components I have on this board here, or on these boards, there's a diode right here. I can't see exactly what the heck it used to be because it has broken it away. But here's the part that gets me. Like, this is hilarious. So this diode could fail at any time, but it still sees it as a diode. So for the sake of a smoke test, we're going to call that good. It will probably have to be changed later. And that's good. That's good. That's good. And that's good. Okay. So that does all the logic. Pardon me for a moment. Just need to step away. Alright, so not much left here. I got these 3 boards. So these are part of the console controls. So these are the receivers for each keyboard. And it comes in through these boards. It's strange, the whole back plane, you'll see it in a few minutes here. Just works through these. Each one has 1 cap. I have no idea what the condition of these caps are going to be like, so I might as well test 1 or 2 of them as I take them out. Oh wait, I can only test 2 of them. This one here already has a lead ripped out of it. It's also interesting. So this one, there's 2 different revisions of boards here. They're the same. They are the same. This one here has the green masking. This one has no masking at all, which is interesting. The heck happened there? It's like the plating. That didn't rip the plating off, but something weird happened. Weird. I don't know what happened there. I should bridge solder across that regardless. There. I think after this, I only have one board viably that I can do on camera. The front panel on this machine is not something you can take off without completely dismantling the machine, which is weird because there's two little pull pins, and you can actually take the cover off the front panel to replace the bulbs. Oh crap, I forgot. There's another one here. Okay, we'll do this first. Yeah, that one got bent up. Actually, what happened there? Is this like the second time where... Yeah, it's like the solder was there, but it didn't actually bond with the copper plating. So that's clean copper there. It looked like I had lifted the pad off, but I hadn't. Okay, now these ones I do have to test because I seriously am curious what their conditions are like. $78 microfarads. That one was out of tolerance. Is it really? No, it's 50-50. That one's junk. $75. So they had drifted. Huh. Okay, so there's 4 caps left in the bag, 1 board left to do. If there's anyone who's still hanging around in here, Moo, you still there? Ugh. This is the console backplane for the machine and is completely independent from the rest of the system backplane. It actually hooks in via these connectors here, and these various cards and boards drop into these sockets here. They're all keyed, so I can't even put them into the wrong ones for the most part. I did catalog all of these, but this is where I was mentioning before. This was stored upside down in the sun and in the weather. So this part of the board here, this looks all green and healthy. Hey, Starlight, good. This part of the board here, this is all like this wasn't exposed to the sun and the weather. This is all nice and green and healthy. And then if I flip it around to show you the connectors that go to these weird proprietary stupid terminals, which hilariously I have the keyboard for, but not the actual terminal itself. It's sunburnt so bad, it's gone brown. Like, you can see the defining line here where the case ended and just the ports facing outward. So the sunburning on this is spectacular, and somehow this board has not, like, rotted or have trace issues. Continuity-wise, like, everything's fine here. just good luck finding all these stupid connectors. Ugh. But we are in here because we have 4 remaining capacitors to change. So I don't have any leftovers at the end of all this. And it's going to be these. They're 50/50s. I just want to see... We're just going to have to pull them out from this side. This is going to be a bit weird. It's a huge board. For those of you who don't really know here, this board, when I put this up against here, the other end of this here, this is reaching the edge of my desk. I do not have a big work surface. I kind of wish I had the money to afford a place where I could get a much bigger work surface, because stuff like this becomes a pain. It's got a tan. Oh my, it's a green spot underneath. So do we consider these tan lines then, Moo? There. And that one's there. 2 down. Let's not lose those yet. Yeah, those aren't going to clear out from this side. Which means you won't be able to see me desolder these holes from the other side. Heavens forbid. A lot of these boards, when I see them, like they've been out in the weather, the sunlight and the UV strips them down to the fiberglass. There's a place nearby here where I'm pretty sure I found flip chips out in the field, and they had been there for so long. Like, sure, the handles were fine-ish, but like the flip chips themselves, the boards had been, you could see the weave of the fiberglass, and everything else was just gone. Okay. Where did you... All right, fine. You'll be part of the testing crew as well. Oh, too much. That's too little, isn't it? That's fine. Okay, I'll leave those. Now I'll take care of those two. Now, that was one of the things I was told by the guy who originally had found this. Like, he got told that this was available. He showed up. He saw this thing sitting upside down like that in the pole barn. And he was just like, good God, the animals will have destroyed this thing by now. And because you couldn't see it in the photo there. It wasn't just the machines that were upside down in the rack. Someone had just tipped the racks completely upside down, and it saved them because, like, you expect ventilation grills and covers and all that to be on the top. And now that those were all on the bottom, the weather couldn't get in, the animals couldn't get in. Really, the only thing that got damaged was stuff that was normally facing down but was now facing up, or sunlight that went in through the fan grills on the sides of the machines. Okay, I'm gonna have to flip that over again. Won't I? Yes, only one of those cleared. You didn't clear. Ah! Need to clean the desoldering tool again. Okay, well, that's supposedly it. No more desoldering. Just 2 more caps. Oh God, maybe I don't have enough to do the... Oh man. We'll see. Let's do a countdown. 4, 3, 2, 1. None. That's all of them. I can turn the iron off. All right, done. So that completes it for that bag. That was 50 capacitors. That took about 2 hours to complete. Let's just now quickly check on this and to see if it follows what I've been seeing this whole time through. 68 microfarads. That one's drifted. 257 picofarads. That one's junk. .4 microfarads. That one's technically still in tolerance, but it's getting there. I have managed to get myself a fiberglass sliver into my finger. Oh, I'll deal with that later. 65 microfarads. And lastly, really? Wow. Surprise right at the end. This cap here is so dead, it doesn't even identify as a capacitor or a resistor. It just reads as open. Okay, so that's been the common and recurring problem that we've been noticing as I went through all of this. Like, I was suspecting there was an issue with these caps. They were themselves causing me issues while I was trying to test. They all had to be replaced. Sprague 50 microfarads, 50 volts DC in the 4-phase systems have to be done. Which is interesting because every other capacitor I tested on the power supplies in the backplane, which we didn't see in this video here, those all tested fine with good ESR. So, okay, sure, whatever. But that's over with. The boards are done now, so I get to put everything back into the enclosure, verify which boards went into what slots, and then hopefully we'll pass a smoke test and I'll let this thing run for a burn-in period of about 24 hours. And if nothing blows up, I'll attach the IV90 expansion cabinet to this IV70 because we don't have the IV70 CPU in it anymore. And if I'm lucky, it'll actually start working. That, however, is not going to be for this video. It might not even be for a stream. We'll get to that when we get to that. There's still a lot more left to do here. I hope you enjoyed watching the last 2 hours, me just sit here, talk a little bit about 4-phase, and recap a whole bunch of boards. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you enjoyed some of my techniques for dealing with boards with crusty solder, because there was a lot of it, and I hope you enjoyed seeing sunburned boards. Tan lines on a board. I'll remember that one, Moo. All right, well, that's it for now. Have a good day, and have a good